Hey guys, Jordan here. I hope you're all well and welcome back to another review. Today we're going to be looking at Razer's first dive into the true wireless market, the Hammerhead True Wireless earphones. So some things to note about the Hammerhead True Wireless are up to 4 hours use, then an additional 12 hours with the included battery case, a low latency mode at 60 milliseconds for mobile gaming, IPX4 water resistant, so perfect for use when you're running or in the gym. They have 13mm dynamic drivers with a frequency response from 20 to 20 kHz. Touch controls on each side with the ability for voice assistance, auto on and pairing once the initial pair has been completed, and that all comes with a nice 2-year warranty. Of course there are more things to cover, but I'll go over those as they pop up throughout the video. So in the box, alongside the earphones and the charging case, you'll find a wrist strap, a small USB-C cable for charging, silicone earbud sleeves, as well as an instruction manual, welcome note and some green Razer stickers. So let's get straight onto the actual earphones themselves. This is the charging case, which is slightly longer than generally we'll see, but they've gone with that in order to make it a little bit thinner, so pros and cons in that regard. The earbuds do have a little bit of a stem, like some fruit related ones for example. So we generally see either this style or just the round ones, and personally I do like this style better, so personal opinion, that's 1 point for it there. So the earbuds themselves weigh 45 grams and are hardly noticeable when in the actual ear. A nice matte black colour as well, so you don't have to worry about fingerprints. I did find them a little bit slippery, especially using them at the gym, so the silicone tips did go on and then remained on for the entirety of my usage period. I will do a little bit of a demonstration with shaking and stuff with and without the tips later on. So on each earbud you will find the Razer logo. This does not illuminate up as many people may wish it to. That will just absolutely destroy the battery life, so it's just not a feasible thing to do. Maybe in a few years time when battery capacities are massive for the size of them, but for now it's just not really a sensible option, and that logo is a little bit darker than what you see on the box. So inside the charging case, the Razer logo is made of rubber, so it does hold those ear tips down and push them onto the contacts when it is closed. And there you can see the pins where the actual earphones will sit and then charge. They do have magnets inside that case as well, so you can literally drop the earbuds in and then it will find its own place and start charging. Something that really did throw me off is that the left and right earbuds are switched to what you generally see when you put them in a charging case, so something you do have to get used to. But on the other hand, it does make sense if you pick up the left one with the left hand and you cross over. It does make it a little bit easier after a little adjustment period, but it does definitely throw you off to start with. So when you open the lid on the charging case, it will indicate how much battery is left. So for example, you've got red for a critical battery, orange for battery low, and then green for battery full. It will go into pairing mode as well when you open that, so it's ready to go to your device. And then when it's plugged in, it will go red for charging and then green when it's fully charged. On the back of the case, you do have the USB-C port, which is of course for charging. Really nice to see, and every pair of headphones should be using USB-C now. I don't really see a need for micro USB anymore, so nice to see Razer adopting it from the very start. Then on the end you've got the little part that you can put the wrist strap round, should you want to put that on. So this part's just a little bit of an up close look at the actual headphones themselves. As you can see, they do have a nice little stem like some fruit companies that I did mention. There are a few other companies that have adopted this style since as well, but that one fruit company seemed to be the ones that really set the trend for that style. I don't blame them taking it though. I do think it's a nice style, and personally the one that I prefer over just the straight up round ones. When we get into the out part, I will show the different commands and gestures you can do, but I do find them a little bit finicky sometimes, so maybe a firmware update might be able to do something there. You can also see on those the little pinhole microphone as well. Obviously where there's no wires going to nearer your mouth, for example where traditional headsets would be, can be a little bit of a limiting factor, especially in high winds, but if you're in a nice still day, for the majority of things you're going to be doing, it's going to be more than adequate. So as I did mention, I put the silicone sleeves on these straight away, though I did find them just a little bit too slippery without it, so personally for me that's the way to go. I found it fit a little bit better in the ear as well, better isolation, and just made it a little bit more of a snug fit. I do feel I have average size ears, but I think it's going to be a bit of a different case scenario for each person. So in terms of fitting these into your ears, I find you have to grab the stem of the actual earbud and then use that to wiggle it into your ear, over putting your fingers on top of the earphone or on the sides. You can accidentally skip tracks, pause, or do different gestures when you try and put them in your ears. So I'd recommend trying to grab the stem and then wiggle it in that way. It's a little bit more finicky of a way of doing it, but it saves any accidental presses. As you can see by the shake test as well, even without the silicone tips, these didn't budge one bit. So this is the companion app that comes with the Hammerhead True Wireless. It does show you all the different gestures that are available, so a single press would do a play or pause. A double tap can go for next, also answer any calls or switch to a new call. Triple tap will go for a previous track when you're playing music. You can do a triple tap and then hold it to go into game mode or to clear your pairing history. Then a long press for 2 seconds will bring up your voice assistant or end or reject a call. Other things in the settings, you've got compatibility mode, for example, if you're using an Android device that's running on Android 10. A few other different phones and different devices as well. I had to use that for my Huawei P30 Pro. Now down the bottom we've got a couple of different EQ presets. Now personally for me, I would love to see some custom EQ options. Having the the bass boost or the EQ lift just isn't enough. With the default EQ, I do find they do sound nice, but I'd love to add a little bit more high end to it. Even if I just have 5 sliders just for a little bit more adjustment would be nice. So for example, I do find there is a nice depth of bass from these headphones by default. That's without putting the bass boost. I find that just a little bit too much. Maybe if you're playing first person shooters on your phones, maybe PUBG or something like that, and you do want to have a little bit more bass in there for explosions and things, then I can see a use for it there. But I think it's just too extreme when listening to music. I'm a big bass enthusiast and that was a little bit too much for me. Going to the other end of the scale to add in the EQ treble boost, again is nice, but then the bass just lacks. So hence my reason in saying I would love a custom slider EQ, just bring up that bass ever so slightly, add some more high end and it will be absolutely perfect. I feel that's the only thing that's letting these down currently. That's something they can add in with firmware though and updates to the app, so that's nothing that's really impossible to add. So at the time of this recording I would say they're a great sounding pair of headphones, but just need a little bit more customization available in the app. Once that's available, it's going to open up a world of options and it's going to make them sound absolutely fantastic. Mid-range and vocals on these by default do sound nice. There is a nice clarity in the high end, especially if you add that EQ preset on there as well. But as I did mention, there are pros and cons in using those EQs. If you do like a bit more bass in your sound in general, but you're not a massive bass head, then these are a good choice to have because they are offering a nice well-rounded sound, obviously with a little bit more bass in there. If you don't like too much bass, you could just add on that treble preset, which does cut out a little bit of that bass, so it does compromise it a little bit. But being these headphones are from Razer, obviously known for making gaming headsets where explosions and bass is a higher emphasis anyway, I can see why there is more bass to these headphones. But I think just adding a little bit more customizable EQ would just open up a world of options that would really set it apart from all the other competitors. Other things to mention in terms of usage, you could probably get up to about 3.5 hours usage from these. Not quite as long as some others that I've tried, and nowhere near some of the ones that are on the market can go for a lot longer than this. Obviously the charging case does allow you a few more charges, but there are other true wireless earphones on the market that do offer bigger battery life if that's one thing you absolutely need to have. Overall, it is a nice little package, and the current price of £99, I think this is a pretty good contender into the market. Taking into consideration this is their first attempt at a true wireless pair, they have got a lot of things right. I do like the styling, how they look when they're actually in the ear. They don't protrude very much, which is nice. They do have the stem of course, but personally for me, I do like the aesthetic of those. Being matte black, they don't collect the fingerprint, which is nice. The touch controls can be a little bit finicky and you have to be very precise where you tap, but that might be something that could be fixed during the firmware. Unfortunately, they don't pause as you take them out because there's no pressure sensor built into them, but I'm sure they'll bring out another version and maybe implement that there. But consolidating all my thoughts into one sentence, they are a great pair of headphones, especially for a first try, with a couple of little details that could be worked upon, but I'm sure we'll see a new version that'll be even better than these. So thank you everyone for watching this video. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you do have any more questions, please leave them in the comments box below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. I will put the links to this in the description box below if you want to get yourself a pair. If you want to get yourself a pair of these, I will put all the links you need in the description box below. A big thank you to Razer for sending them out for me to review. Thanks for watching and I'll see you all in the next one.